Bienvenidos a Ya es Hora, les habla Cristina Ortega. El día de hoy tenemos un invitado muy especial, en especial si ustedes alguna vez han considerado algún tatuaje o las estigmas detrás de lo que viene siendo los tatuajes. Les invito a conocer a J Lopez. Welcome, Jacob, to our studio here at Onset. Cuéntanos un poquito de ti.
Primero, gracias por invitarnos. Thank you so much for considering us. That's really, amazing. And I love what you're doing with the podcast and with Prensa Arizona. It's really cool to see.
Thank you.
And Jacob Lopez, Jacob J Inc. That's what everybody knows me online. But, I've been doing tattoos now for I think 12 years, or 13 years now, actually. I started it back in 2012. I love it. I'm so blessed and happy that I get to do something that I love for my source of income, and it's built a livelihood for us, so yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. How did you develop? Is it something que tú, you discovered at some point? Is it something that you've done for a while? ¿De dónde salió todo?
Yo desde chamaquito, I was always drawing. I was watching cartoons and I started drawing. Dragon Ball Z was my favorite thing when I was a little kid. Yeah. And, my parents hated all the cartoons, but I would draw. And then not until I got to high school, and it's everybody's figuring out what they want to do.
Yes.
Van en el colegio, they're going to recibir una beca y todo. And it was I don't know what I want to do. I hate school. I hate school. I'm not for it. I don't like it. And, I'm thinking of what I'm going to do. And it just so happened I had got a tattoo with a friend earlier that year. And he kept telling me, hey, I've seen your drawings. Why don't you get into tattoos? He kept telling me to get into it. And finally I asked him where he got his machine from. And it was off of eBay back then,
Yeah.
The worst 3-machine set that you can get, the worst inks, the worst needles. But I received it and I started tattooing immediately, practicing on oranges and bananas. I would actually wake up first thing in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would be practicing before school on oranges and bananas. And then I would take the banana, the orange in my backpack to school.
Yeah.
Ya está todo el café. It's all been in my backpack. It's all mushed and everything. And my friends eventually, they were like, you know what? Yeah, I'll get a tattoo. And I was doing it for free at the time. So I kept getting more clients until eventually it was I need to start charging. I need to start charging for tattoos $20, $50, $100,
Yeah.
And, I'd been tattooing for a bit. It was a few years. And then not until I met my wife, she,
She's she's the one.
Yeah, no, if it wasn't for her, I don't think I would be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
But she saw me tattooing out of my room and immediately she was like, okay, no, we got to get you into the shop. And I did do small apprenticeship for a little bit, but it didn't work out. And then she was able to get me a working apprenticeship at a reputable shop. And that's actually where I met my mentor. And I really learned the ropes. I think it was around 2015 or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 2016, somewhere around there. And then shortly after that, I really started getting into portraits and doing realism. My mentor actually told me that I should have waited 5 years before even attempting a portrait. But I was so excited. There's this portrait that I absolutely love. One of the first ones that I did. I actually think it's the first one. But it's Johnny Depp from Cry Baby. I don't know if you ever saw the movie.
Yes.
It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. And he's got the hair and everything that, greaser look. Yeah, with the tear. And I did it on a friend. She's been a client since back then. You know what I mean? She gave me her thigh and, I don't think I even charged her. I think she just tipped me out that weekend. We went all day, 10 hours, and she let me do that portrait for the first time. And it really showed myself. It showed my wife because she even had doubts. She was like, I don't know, that's a big project.
It was a risk.
Yeah, it was a risk. And then my mentor saw it and they were like, okay, cool, you can do this. You know what I mean? And I was telling myself,
no tienes que esperar los 5 años.
No tengo. And immediatamente, more clients, little by little, started wanting to get realism, portraits, and that kind of stuff. And little by little, I started filling my books. And at the time, I still kept a part-time job. I would keep a part-time job and I'd be working, trying to do tattoos on the weekends and stuff like that. Yeah. And it gets hard. It gets hard trying to balance all that. So, but yeah, that's how I got started. And now I think 2021, because of COVID,
yes.
it's
always COVID.
It really forced our hands. So
Yeah.
I'd been tattooing for a while. That shop ended up closing down, and I started tattooing out of home, and I made, a really solid studio. We had our house. I made a private studio in my home, and I'd been tattooing like that for years.
Yeah.
2020 comes around. My wife is pregnant with our son, and she has a high-risk pregnancy. Everybody's on lockdown. Luckily, I had a full-time job at the time, and everybody went work from home. So I was able to stay with my wife, and I didn't do tattoos for a whole year. I actually sent back deposits and everything because I was like, we don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, so I sent it back. I didn't want to hold on to that. And it was kind of scary at first. But then 2021 rolled around, and everybody's like wanting to get out there and do concerts and, be in the fun and be out there again. And everybody's like, when are you going to start tattooing again? And my wife, we talked about it, and she's like, well, you can't tattoo here. You need a place to tattoo out of where you can keep it safe, keep it separate, away from the house. So then it really turned into we needed to open up a shop. And it was the best thing that could have happened for us, because as soon as we opened up the shop, I was busy. I had a full-time job at the time, and I was actually going to lose out staying at that full-time job. And it was amazing. It was the best thing that could have happened to us. So unfortunately, because of COVID, it was a great thing,
Yeah. You felt like almost like a setback, but then it also had its rewards, no?
Yeah. And I was painting and stuff too during COVID because I needed an outlet as well. And I actually sold some paintings. I did a few commissions during that time as well. And just little by little, it turned into, now we own a business, all of a sudden we own a business. And very shortly after we opened up, people wanted to start working with me.
Yeah.
People wanted to start. And so now we have artists working with us, and it turned into a full-fledged shop. It's not a big shop, but we've been able to stay steady. Customer service is huge with us. And luckily enough, we've been at 5 stars since then. So
yeah. And it's so interesting porque hay tantas estigmas detrás de lo que es un tatuaje. Me imagino que tú, como un artista que lo hace, that comes with challenges.
Oh, yeah. It does. Yeah. So when I first started, my parents hated it. And I was tattooing my brothers a lot. And mi mamá, al instante, she's like, te miras como pizarrón, te miras feo, ya no te lo hagas, ay, mijo, ya no more, She kept telling us not to do it, but I was practicing. And luckily enough, I had my brothers too back then. They got a lot of tattoos. And then now, things are shifting. Está cambiando, you know what I mean? Sí. Little by little. They're starting to see it a little bit different. My mom loves the tattoos now. My dad talks about getting a tattoo now. The older generation, some of them are actually bringing in their kids, some of them.
Wow.
Yeah, they're bringing in 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, because you can get a tattoo at 16 with parent consent. And they're bringing their kids in, ay, no me gusta, pero él quiere. You know what I mean? They'll be saying stuff like that. And we'll it's a cool thing to see that it's shifting, even in the workforce.
Yes.
More and more professionals are fully sleeved up.
Yeah, like doctors.
Lawyers, I mean, engineers, you name it. There's nurses. I've seen police officers, sheriffs. I have clients that are police officers, sheriffs. They're in the military. Even I think it was Scottsdale Police Department, and I believe Tempe Police Department, in the middle of last year, changed their rules to go all the way to the hand now. So, and the younger generation that is now older, into their 30s and 40s, and they're getting the higher positions in the military, in the police force, doctors, hospitals.
Yeah.
They're from our generation, and they're like, that's okay, So the industry is kind of shifting. The mindset around tattoos.
La aceptación.
Yeah, mucha gente ya están aceptando. Es parte de la cultura, little by little. Sí. And now that's a bigger thing too, is, getting tattoos that have to do with la cultura, la raza, Chicano style tattoos.
Yes.
Even my wife loves Selena, and you start to see como la flor tattoos everywhere, Selena tattoos, and all kinds of stuff, So it is cool to see that it's shifting, because when I started back in 2012, there was a lot of stigma. And it was still seen as ghetto, as trashy, or you might be a gangster, you might be involved in something. And that's also why I didn't get face tattoos. So I was like, I do this, but I didn't want to get any face tattoos just in case. Not yet. I think only recently I was like, I'm going to get a neck tattoo finally. But there is a lot of stigmas that come with that. Even when we were trying to find our studio back in 2021, which is later on, 10 years later from when I started, we were calling leases, we were calling commercial places, and they were rejecting us, saying we're not going to lease out to tattoo shops, to artists, to tattoo artists. So there's still a lot of stigma around tattoo shops and all that. But it is cool that it's shifting little by little.
Sí.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, y es bonito verlo porque, como tú dices, es algo que en especial me imagino en la cultura latina, ¿no? Because that's what I can express as an experience. Yo nunca he entendido la aceptación de like beauty-related tattoos, como las cejas, los labios,
eso sí,
el
¿verdad?
eyeliner, eso sí se acepta.
Que no se les diga nada.
My grandma era de rancho. And like, I was like, how did you ever get your tattoos?
Los aretes.
Yeah.
Apenas nacieron y ya le ponieron aretes.
Exacto.
Ellas mismas también. Yo se las hice solas, you know. That's like a common thing, but, you know. And one of the reasons that they always say that it's bad or that it's not good, we grew up with Christian Catholic, you know, and that's like a big part of the culture in Mexico and in the Latin community. And so the older generations grew up with saying things that tattoos are bad, you know? And the truth is, like, even piercings are bad if you were to actually read it, you know, in the Bible and all that. And so it's picking and choosing what is good and what isn't.
Porque tu cuerpo es un templo.
Sí. No, and then if we wanted to be exact, it's Leviticus 19:28. It says, thou shalt not mark your body in remembrance of the dead. It never said tattoos. Just marking your body in remembrance, which was an old pagan tradition, which they were trying to get rid of when they actually rewrote the Bible. So if we really want to get technical, that's what it was. You know what I mean? But I think it just has to do with the norms, the stigmas, you know.
Yes.
And now it's really, you know, it's shifting and more like, you know, cosmetic tattoos. Las señoras ya se ponen secas, los labios, hasta los
y son tatuajes.
Freckles. And yeah, son tatuajes.
Yes.
Son para siempre. But it's beautiful too. It's beautiful that that's an option now, you know. And maybe that's the intro. Maybe that's how they get into tattoos.
Yes.
Because actually there's more and more cosmetic tattoo artists who then been doing it for like 2-3 years that are actually learning how to do tattoos, like traditional style tattoos, or fine line is another one. The style of machine that you use for cosmetic is the style, that's the type of machine you use for fine line.
Yeah.
And I've seen, you know, artists have come to me to try to learn that kind of stuff. And so that transition is happening.
Yes.
And maybe that's the intro to the older generation getting into tattoos.
Bueno, y creo que también a como vamos creciendo, las generaciones ahora tienen la mente más abierta. Tienen la mente más abierta. Y si es como tú dices, anteriormente, o sea, los tatuajes se relacionaban con gangas, con que andabas mal, even like dirty, because, you know, like the whole, what is it called? The tramp stamp?
Tramp stamp, yeah. Those actually came back.
Oh, really?
They came back. Especially in the last, I'm going to say, towards the end of last year, they were actually really popular amongst young people. Gen Z and like later millennials, they were getting.
Yeah, not them making fun of us.
Yeah, no, right?
Nos ponen de todos modos.
De todos modos, ¿verdad?
Sí. No, y creo que sí es como tú dices, o sea, la cultura va evolucionando, and it does have to do a lot with us, you know, que somos de mente más abierta, pero como quiera es algo que obviamente por eso estás aquí, porque hay que hacer esas preguntas para que las personas que nos ven digan, okay, this is not bad. Like, you know, si mi hijo viene y me dice, ¿sabes qué, ma? Ya me tatué. Like, no le vas a dar chanclazos porque se tatuó. You know, you're not going to disown them because they tattooed themselves. Yeah, so I love that you're bringing that point up.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting too that muchos de los chamaquitos 18, 19 años, normalmente, especialmente los varones, vienen y se ponen una de tres. El nombre de la mamá, el nombre de la abuela, o el nombre de la familia, o tal vez un rostro, una fecha, algo así. Cuando llegan a la casa, they're like, oh, look, mom,
it's
what do you think? Yeah, like, ay, no me gusta, pero no, sí está bonito. You know what I mean? So you know, and then after that, they start getting like the bigger tattoos.
Es como la entradita, pues.
La entradita es like, sí, ma, está bien, or mira, abuela, you know.
It's for you.
Yeah, it's for you, or it's nana, you know what I mean? So that's the intro and stuff, but yeah, and then little by little, they start getting more and more tattoos, you know?
Sí.
Yeah.
No, y cuando se acepta de esa manera, creo que, especially with like the work I've seen that you do, porque sí son retratos, ¿no? I think there's like that emotional connection too. And it's something that you don't see a lot. Porque, o sea, lo bueno, ¿verdad? De un tatuaje, yo personalmente no tengo, right? But tengo familiares que sí tienen. They have sleeves and stuff. Cada tatuaje tiene un significado. Y creo que uno de los estigmas es que you go do it because you're bored. And that might be the case. Pero muchas veces, y me imagino with portraits, ¿no? That it has a deeper meaning.
A lot of the times it does. Es una expresión, ¿verdad? Una expresión de cómo uno se siente, how what they like, you know, what's important to them, or that they like art. You know, which is an expression as well, even if you could say that you were just bored and getting, you know, something that might be meaningless to somebody else. It's beautiful to them, which has meaning, you know? And I think even more beautiful is when I get to do the retratos, especially the memorial ones. Man, those are amazing because it's a hard thing. It's usually related to somebody that passed away.
Sí.
And I can feel the emotion on the person when I'm tattooing them. And they're so happy that, you know, that they get to have this on their body for the rest of their life. And sometimes they'll be telling me about their loved one, right? They'll be telling me about, you know, how they passed or what it was like with them, what their interests were. And then we get to have a deeper connection during, you know, the 5 to maybe 10 hours that we're working on there. And that's a long time to sit with somebody, right?
Yeah.
And we really get to know each other. And then at the end of the tattoo, they get to see their loved one on their body for the rest of their life. And man, they'll start tearing up, and then I'll start tearing up.
Yeah.
And then like I've had 6'5" guys, you know, I remember one specifically, he was getting his son that passed away. He was in his 20s, you know, and he was in school for baseball.
Yeah.
He had a baseball career basically lined up for him. And he tragically passed away in a car accident. And so this guy, he's, you know, burly 6 foot guy, you know, like 6'5" type guy. You can tell he worked in construction for his whole life. At the end of the tattoo, he sees it, he starts tearing up, and he just grabs me and gives me the biggest bear hug, you know, and he just holds me. And, you know, I'm tearing up with this guy, and you would think that maybe looking at him that he wouldn't, you know,
be that emotional
or express himself that way, especially with a stranger. Because we, you know, although we sat with each other for like, I think it was 6 hours or so, you know, he gave me the biggest bear hug, and they're so grateful, you know, and I think that's such a beautiful thing that I get to do with people, along with doing like, you know, famous people.
I saw, what is it called? The Silent Hill tattoo.
Oh, the Silent Hill. Yeah, that was a really
sick.
cool one. That was
sick.
Thank you so much. And then, so for him specifically, he was a fan of that game for his whole life. He still is a fan of that game, still religiously plays. He's built his friends and community around that game, you know, and he'll go online with his friends. They play together. They, you know, stream online and everything.
Yeah.
And so someone might look at that and say, well, that's just a video game. Like, why are you getting that? You know, it's on your body for the rest of your life, you know, but for him, it's special, you know, and they're willing to come in, do this piece and sit there for hours to get it done. And I'm blessed to have people that are wanting that kind of work.
Yeah,
you
know? Que confían en tu trabajo.
Yeah. But I had to it took a while. It took a while. When I first started in 2012, I was not tattooing like that. It took a while.
Yeah.
It takes years. And that's something that I want. So we were talking about like the older generation, the younger generation. There is a new generation of tattoo artists coming in who aren't necessarily appreciating the time and effort it takes to learn the craft of tattoos. They're coming into this with AI, with iPads, with the internet, with ChatGPT, being able to build them anything that they want. You know what I mean? So there is a lot of steps that they're skipping. And I've had it where I've had apprentices that I've had to let go of because they want it like this, you know, and social media too, building up a social media.
Yeah, the expectations.
Exactly.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, it's not that easy, but it is doable. It's possible, right? And it just takes time and effort, and you just have to keep the repetition. What I tell people is you can have talent, but practice will beat talent every day of the week. Practice always beats talent, you know? And so that's just like a little message for like the younger tattoo artists to, you know, don't get ahead of yourself and put the time and effort into the work, into the practice to be able to do stuff like, you know, what I'm able to do these days, you know?
Yeah.
I'm so lucky that I did stick to it, you know?
Sí. Y creo que en cuestión de eso, you do have to have a talent regardless of it.
Yes.
Y algo que estamos viendo ahora, y qué bueno que hablaste sobre like AI, ChatGPT, like all those tools, esas herramientas, que muchas personas, como se les facilita el proceso, piensan, you know, hey, I'll tattoo my family, my friends, you know, whoever's going to let me. And then, I'm a tattoo artist. I'm going to, me voy a dedicar a... Exactamente. And then there's also like other things to consider, which is the health risks. O sea, también no todos se pueden tatuar or I don't know if you've ever had this experience, que tal vez te llegue a alguien that even you question what they want to get tattooed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it happens. Not as much anymore. Como que toda la gente que me encuentra estos días, like they see the work that I do and they know what they want. So it's pretty much straightforward.
Yeah.
But I've had some people, they ask me for some pretty crazy things. You know what I mean? A big one, and they call it the curse, you know, but a big one is getting a significant other's name. You know what I mean? That's usually out of impulse. You know, they've known each other maybe a year. I usually hear like 6 months, you know, but it's usually out of impulse. And I've had them come back to get it covered before, you know, or they go, I've had other people come to me to get, you know, that name covered or whatever it might be. Lasers big because of it, you know. So yes, we do get some pretty difficult clients. Also, the concept of a tattoo. So having talent and learning your craft, so you know composition, how to build a tattoo for somebody, what is going to work and what isn't going to work with the body, so it flows, so it makes sense, so it lasts you anywhere from 15 to 20 years without a single touch-up. You know, that's not something that you learn within the first few years. I've been doing it now, I think like around 13 years. So I've seen a lot of my tattoos come back. I've seen them when I first started and when I'm tattooing now and how they're able to heal, how it settles into the skin. Tattoos, when they first go into your body wants to push it up and out. Like the body is so smart. It says there's a foreign object here. We got to push it up and out. And that's why. I know that. Yeah. So the body's trying to push all this foreign object, this ink out of the skin. That the antibodies see it and they start replicating it instead. If you take care of the skin, if you lotion or aquaphor and actually take care of the skin, wash it right and take care of it. If not, a lot of it falls out. If you're in the sun right away, it falls out. So the body is so smart, right? And so later on, after years of practice, you'll see what the body is doing. And not everybody's the same too. So everybody has different skin types.
Yeah.
And that I had to learn over years.
That was my next question is cómo trabajas con los tonos diferentes de la piel. And even just the type of skin.
So a big one, especialmente cuando apenas empecé, que los morenos no se pueden hacer tatuajes, especialmente de color. Los morenos o más oscuros, you know what I mean? Like nothing but black and gray. That's all you can do on them. And that's not true. That's not true. So what happens when you put a color tattoo on brown skin? There's a sheen of orange that lays over it. You ever got a cut where you see the white skin under, the little pink skin? That's because underneath it doesn't have the color yet. The melanin happens from that second layer into that top layer. And so what the ink is doing is landing into that second layer. And so then any color
epidermis.
in the epidermis, yep. And so then you'll see it through orange, through brown. And so any color that you lay down, you have to know what it's going to look like once you put orange over it. And so that takes years of practice. Everybody's work habits or day-to-day. So construction workers, they work with cement or they work in the sun and the sun's beaming on their neck every day, or bikers, you know, the sun's always beaming on them. Or somebody who maybe works in office, works at home, never sees the light of day. They put lotion on all day long. Their skin is so soft. It can get red and puffy really fast. So there's a lot of different skin types.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to work with all of them. And so there's a lot of knowledge that goes into, you know, the
I mean, I'm learning
tattoos
right now. I didn't know all that.
Well, maybe you might want to get your next one soon.
Yeah.
Or your first
or my
one.
First
your
one.
First one, yeah.
No, and I've considered it. I think
it's actually more rare these days.
Yeah.
It's becoming more rare. Among the millennials, sorry to cut you off. Among the millennials, the statistic was, I think this was in 2023, that 49% of millennials have a tattoo. That's that's more than half. That's about half, you know? Yeah. So obviously if you take everybody, it's still a lower percentage, but millennials are got a lot of tattoos now. So it's becoming more rare.
And I think, I don't know your thoughts, but I would consider that it goes back to like como decimos los millennials, we've been through everything.
Yeah.
And it's like that, almost like that outing, or not outing, pero que como que te desahogas en el arte de un tatuaje.
No, sí, es terapia, es un tipo de terapia.
Yeah.
So the way I describe it is when you have day-to-day stresses and what feels inconvenient, like the traffic, or you broke your belt, in the morning, or like you missed an email, or all these different things, like, or that bill that you have to catch up with, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Don't feel as bad as actual pain. Physical pain kind of recenters you. There's nothing that makes you feel more in the moment and more alive than pain. It's one of the reasons why we're so good at surviving. We are constantly trying to get away from pain. Everything that we do, clothes, comfort at home, the lighting, everything is about being comfortable. And this is why, like in some cultures, like the Maori culture and like Easter Island and that kind of stuff,
yes,
it's a rite of passage to experience something as painful as tattoos.
Yeah, and how long it takes.
They take hours. They'll take days.
And it's just like a full-on ceremony.
And they do it different. They do the stick and poke style, which is a lot more painful than the machines that run, a few thousand RPM at a second. So an hour that could take me 6 hours, will probably take them 2-3 days to complete. And, the men and women, they're getting them done at a certain moment in time, like a rite of passage. They had their first baby, or a passing, adulthood, and in part, that's kind of what we do. We do the same. So it's cool because we get to share these experiences with people. Yeah. Like, I got my first job, I want to get a tattoo, or I'm finally 18, my husband passed away, I'm 86. I never got a tattoo because he didn't like it, but I want to get my first one.
Yeah.
So there's all these moments that are like rite of passage. People got married and they want to get a matching tattoo finally. So, and it's almost
hoping they don't come back.
Right. Hoping that they stay together, what I mean? So, but yeah, it's a rite of passage, and I think a lot of people use it to kind of celebrate a moment, but then, specifically the pain part of it, it kind of contrasts all the comfort and the small inconvenience from like a day-to-day job or whatever, the small stressors, because you're feeling a needle on you and you're feeling some pain and you're like, okay, life isn't as bad. Same. You know what I mean?
Because you're in the moment.
You're in the moment. Yeah. And that's the only thing that matters. So, and then also a little advice too, if you do get your first one, I don't know if you're going to go really big. This is more for like if you're going bigger, right? So like a good size tattoo. But the best way to experience a tattoo is just tell yourself, this is what I decided to do today. I decided to experience the pain of a tattoo, and that's the experience. And then just breathe. That's it. You'll do great. Yeah. You know what I mean? So some people want to force it and push. It's not ahí aguantando and they'll hold their breath. That's not good.
It's like not under, como dicen, under the influence.
Yeah, definitely not under the influence. You don't want to do that. You know what I mean? So you want to be, as safe as possible. Have a good night's sleep. If it's a big tattoo, have a good night's sleep and a good breakfast. I've had people pass out because of that, so yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame them for it, especially if it's like something they're not prepared for.
Yes. So that's another thing too that we try our best to do is educate people. Yeah. So a lot of our job too is there's people who've never gotten a tattoo before. They have to know what it's like before, during, and after to have a tattoo. It's not a medical procedure. Some people want to call it a medical procedure and make it super extreme, but we are using a needle on your skin. We are causing trauma to the skin.
Yeah.
And all tattoos are technically a scar. And so with that in mind, there's certain things that you have to know to prepare for and how to take care of it. Right. So, there's a lot of education that goes along with tattooing, and that takes years.
Yeah. And I think that's where, another stigma comes that and I've seen this with like the Medusa tattoos where it's like facing those traumas or that pain. And it's so interesting that you're talking about pain because that's probably the top thing I've heard from people que lo hacen porque es una manera de tolerar el dolor. O sea, como que es algo que like you have control of, que tienes el control de algo que tal vez no tengas el control, like on the outside.
Yes. No, it's huge. That's actually perfect because all the other daily stressors and all the other pain that we experience, we don't have control of it. It just happens. And then this is something that you decide to do.
Yes.
Yo quiero esto. You know what I mean? So it's like, I want this to happen. And I get something beautiful out of it. You know, I get some artwork out of it and I get to wear it. You know, we decorate our houses with paints and artwork and everything like that. Why not our bodies, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, it's you get to decide when you get a tattoo, you know? So it's kind of like taking control for yourself. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So for you, what would you say is probably going back to you doing portraits, que son los retratos y como tú dices, normalmente es algo que tiene un significativo. O sea, que es algo que lo vas a tener toda tu vida. Obviamente lo vas a ver, lo vas a sentir, you know, when you're getting it. So what is like something that you see most often when it comes to portraits from the person getting it?
Más que nada, it's someone special. Alguien que tal vez falleció o estos días más perros también, more pets, you know, is another big one. I actually have a few coming up too. But it's usually somebody really special to them. I don't get as many famous people because of it. And because more and more people want, you know, somebody who's really important to them.
Right.
You know, because you're going to wear them for the rest of your life unless you're a huge fan, you know. But that's what I've noticed is it's usually somebody very important to them. And, you know, they want somebody that they're going to trust somebody's face, you know, like a portrait on their body to actually be able to tattoo it and make it look good. Yeah. And we've all seen, you know, like on the TV shows and everything when they do portraits and how they end up looking. So I like to do consultations with everybody so that way we get to know each other.
Yes.
And you know, so I can also decide maybe I'm not the artist for you because I've had it where, you know, I say yes to somebody when I shouldn't have. And that it always goes south really fast. But so that way you get to know each other. And then I get a better understanding in person of what the person is looking for. If it's just a face or if they want something more, you know, they want a, you know, beautiful background or they're trying to create a project already based off of this tattoo. So that's also like, I always approach all my tattoos with a consultation too, to get to know the person a little bit more.
Y eso es muy importante porque aparte de que vas a conocer a la persona, que como tú dices, vas a interactuar con esta persona, you know, 10 hours, 8 hours, maybe multiple sessions. O sea, necesitas saber quién es la persona que está haciendo algo tan íntimo. Because, you know, people get tattoos everywhere these days.
No, yeah. And that's another big thing, too, is being professional as well. So, I mean, my wife is really good about this. And that's another question that, especially, you know.
You can go on forever.
Yeah, so we've had the question a lot. My wife gets the question a lot, like, are you okay with him tattooing women, like, you know, in private areas and things like that? And her answer always is, well, he's professional. He knows he's been doing it longer than we've been together, right? And so that's the biggest thing is treating people with respect and making them feel comfortable, even if it's not a private area, right? Making them feel comfortable. Because the one analogy I like to put is you can go to a restaurant and the food might be okay, you know what I mean? But the experience was amazing. You're probably going to go back. But if you go to a place where the food's amazing, but the experience was horrible, you're probably not going to go back. Yeah, you're going
to be like that for me.
You know, and so that's like, you know, if you give a great experience, if you're an artist that just started off, maybe you're not creating a high level of tattoo or quality just yet, but you give a great experience. And I think that's also why I have a lot of clients still from the very beginning, from when I first started, when I was tattooing horribly in my room.
Like when you were tattooing oranges.
Yeah, when I was tattooing, it's like since back then, I still have clients. And now they're also accepting my new prices because obviously I'm going to, you know, be upping my prices with quality, with time, with the years of experience. And it's cool to see that some clients, even from back then, they're like, no, I want to pay your worth. You know, I'll try to hook them up and like, well, you've been with me forever. No. Just tell me what it is and I'll pay your worth, you know? So making people feel comfortable. And I mean, you know, private area tattoos and all that, that's going to come with the territory, that kind of thing. But it's a cool thing that we get to create even that type of artwork for them. And they get to be happy wearing that type of artwork, however it is they want to wear it.
Yeah.
You know?
Y es algo, o sea, que hasta te entretiene. So talking about like those types of tattoos, ¿qué tatuaje te ha tocado hacer that you're just like why would you get, or just kind of question like
yeah, I'm probably not gonna say them on here. I'm probably not gonna say, because there are some bad ones. There's some bad ones. People have wanted like curse words on their hip, on their arms and their chest. I think one that I could describe was, I had a client, quería el nombre de su papá, pero lo quería en el pecho. And she kept asking me to put it lower and lower down her chest. And eventually it was on her breast. She wanted her dad's name on her breast, and he hadn't passed or anything like that. And I didn't want to ask too much. I did it for her.
Yeah.
But I thought that was the weirdest thing. It's like, you're going to put your dad's name
it sounds
on
weird.
breast. So there's some strange, types of tattoos. And I think that's one, with the years of experience, I would say, hey, maybe I'm not the artist for you. I know a few shops that I can recommend you to, that kind of thing. But there are some strange tattoos, and I think that's also what maybe las señoras y las mamás y todas que miran eso, and they're like, ooh, no, that's not good, and then they attribute it to all tattoos, and that's just not how it is.
And that's where like those stigmas come, that they're like, where they associate it to like the negativity, and instead of viendo lo que es el arte, tal vez algo que, o sea, refleja a lo mejor algo que no conocían ellos mismos. And I feel like it does come with stages. Porque ya ves que dicen, how you mentioned que ahora van muchachitos y cosas así, que tal vez they see something online and they're like, oh my gosh, like, I think that's pretty cool. Let me get it. But then, they're 20, 30, 40 years old and they're like, ¿por qué me puse? I've seen like, like the small tattoos, like the finger tattoos that you go in and you pay like $50 for them. Like it's like an impulse tattoo.
Yeah, it's an impulse tattoo. Absolutely.
And it's like, I have, I don't know, like a heart or, something weird, just very simple. And they're like, why did I get it?
Or even a cross, right? So the cross could be religious. It could be very important. And I've had people say, I regret getting this little tattoo, this little cross. If it was going to be important to me, I should have put it somewhere else. Yeah. If it, maybe this is not what I agree with anymore. That's another thing. The younger, people getting tattoos, and then later on, you're not the same person at 18 to 25 to 35. You're not the same person. So our big thing too, and my big thing, is to explain to them, look, if you really want the tattoo, I'll do it for you. Most of the time it's nothing too crazy. But remember, later on in life, this is, you're going to see the world differently. And so you got to consider, do you want this for the rest of your life, right? As long as they give me a yes, then we're good to go. You know what I mean? I'm not going to really press them. There's a big push in the tattoo industry with the older generation of tattoo artists who are like, they're going to turn you away immediately. Yeah. If they don't think you should get it, they're going to turn you. They call it gatekeeping. There's a lot of that culture in the tattoo world. There's gatekeeping in the styles of tattoos as well. Face tattoos is a big one. It's a huge controversy right now, especially with all the rappers and everybody, even
Blueface.
Blueface,
Krishan.
like, and then even Hispanic artists now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, Nodal, he's all the face tattoos, and it's like, it's becoming popular. And that's one where I'm like, look, if you really want to get it done, I'll do it when you're, at least 21 or something like that. When you're a little bit older, come back to me if you want to. They're probably going to go get it done somewhere else, right? But that's one I'm a little apprehensive on. But the industry as a whole, they kind of look at it like, hell no. You should not be getting those. They're job stoppers. The hand tattoos, they still consider them job stoppers. So there's still some things in the tattoo world that they see as like, no, you shouldn't get it.
Like even within the artists.
Within the artists, even in the industry, there's still like some, they're like, no, you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? But even so like if you go back to like the 1950s, getting a forearm tattoo in general was like, what did you do? There was a huge stigma around that. That is so common these days. Nobody even bats an eye. So as time goes on, things are going to shift, so little by little, it's changing though.
Yeah. And I think as the culture changes, it's nice to know que en la industria también como que se va modificando todo. Y los tatuajes, es lo bonito, y más bien covering like art in general. Hay tantas formas de expresarte y creo que lo que se tiene que hacer es tal vez aceptar que las expresiones o sea, vienen en muchas formas, no nomás, like talking, like there's so many escapes. And although, and I don't know from your experience, ¿consideras que los tatuajes también puedan ser adictivos?
So, más que nada, la gente que le gusta los tatuajes, they're down to get more. I think that's the biggest thing, right? And they always say, oh, you're going to get addicted, te vas a poner adicto, te vas a poner más. They always say that, right?
Yeah.
We even say it as kind of like joking. But what I think it is, it's pain. It's a needle on your skin, but it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. So many people wouldn't be tattooed if it was that bad, right? It'd be much more obscure. Mm-hmm. And then after it's done, the 2-3 hours, 8 hours that you did for the tattoo, you express yourself how you wanted to, and you see yourself more like yourself. You start to see yourself, like when we change our hair, or like we change our style, we change the way we look as we go through crisis, or whatever, or like you buy the car or whatever it might be. But if it makes you feel more like yourself, that is a form of expression. And so people, they say, oh, I could do that again. They look at themselves in the mirror and they're like, I like that. And then they start to get more ideas. And because it wasn't so painful, I could do that again. And they start to, want to get more tattoos. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's necessarily you get addicted like a masochist or something to the pain of getting tattooed. And I'm sure there are those people. But more than anything, you're like, I'm becoming my true self.
Yeah.
And you get to express who you really are.
And that's not your experience.
That's not your, exactly.
It's something that you don't visualize because that's not kind of what reflects why you do it.
Yeah. And people want to project their way of being onto other people too. And they'll be like, why did you get that? Or I could never see myself getting that. Right. But that's just what people do. They do it with maybe a job that you get, or like a person you're dating, or like going out when everybody's not spending money, stuff like that. Family, la familia, they tell you, why'd you spend on that? And it's just projecting what they wouldn't do onto you, right?
Exactly.
And con tiempo eso va a cambiar, I think.
Sí. Y creo que es lo que me gusta de lo que vi de tu trabajo, y en especial esta misma conversación que estamos teniendo, que estás incluyendo lo que es el arte, lo que viene detrás de eso, las responsabilidades, the commitment, the investment, part from the tattoo artist and part from the person that's getting that tattoo, because it is an investment,
right? Yeah,
especially if you're getting a portrait.
Yeah, a huge piece. Yeah,
exactly. So speaking from just going back to the portraits that you do, what was that one experience that reassured you, I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing?
Every portrait. So like from that first one that I did, the Johnny Depp one that I did, hasta most recently, I think I did, what was it? I did somebody's dad who passed away. And each one of those that I do, every single one is like, okay, this is what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll still be critical of my tattoo. I'll go back and I'll look at it and make sure I'm like learning and getting better.
Yeah.
But every single portrait that I do, every single realistic piece that I do, I'm like, okay, cool, I do this. It's like, I'm telling myself, but then it's also like, I'm grateful that I got to this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, every
y que
single
se tomó tiempo. It wasn't overnight.
No, it was not overnight. And I've had tattoos where I've messed up before, misspellings. Oh my God. Those are the worst,
like, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, no, oh my God, that's so bad. But if you're starting off in tattoos, you're gonna mess up. You're gonna make mistakes, and it's gonna happen. You just have to be ready for them and be ready to cover them up. Help with fixing it. Even be ready to pay for laser if that's what it takes. You take on this responsibility of putting something that's permanent on somebody. You have to give it the respect it deserves, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I've made mistakes before, and you quickly learn from them.
Yeah,
quickly learn from them, so you don't do it again, and you get better every single time.
Yeah, and accountability is very important, especially when you're basically messing with somebody else's body image, emotional state, Because, if you have a bad experience, como dices tú, no vas a volver. Or even that bad experience isn't going to allow you to maybe get another one. Or, it can be traumatizing at some point.
Es una responsabilidad muy grande. And I think the older generation too is not aware of that.
Yeah.
And I think they still have that stigma that, nomás está dibujando, nomás está haciendo dibujos en la gente,
Exactly.
And it's not that simple, They're like my parents' view on tattoos have shifted a lot. They see it as a career now for me. They see it as I've built a business, we were able to buy our first home and we were able to do all these things because of the
Your
business.
hands.
Yeah, exactly. Because of my hands, because of my wife and how she saw the potential in me and she helped push to open up the studio and everything. So that's something that I think the older generation, especially los hispanos, la raza, they don't, the older generation doesn't see it as much, that there's so much that goes into the education, the healing aspect, the practice, the mistakes that you make, and building up a business little by little. You started off with $20 tattoos, and now, some of them are ranging in the 2,000, 3,000 for a day. So it's a beautiful thing that the industry is changing and the cultura is more accepting of it. But I think there's still some stigma there that the older generation doesn't see when it comes to the business of tattooing.
Y es lo importante de que tú tengas tanto conocimiento, porque como te digo, estás compartiendo lo que es el aspecto del arte, de la persona que va a recibir el servicio, memorable moment, y aparte tú, el conocimiento que tienes. Algo que a mí me gusta mucho preguntar, ¿no? O decir es, si alguien te está, vamos a decir, you're walking somewhere and you meet someone and you start a conversation.
Okay.
¿Qué es una cosa, un consejo, algo que tal vez tú les puedas decir para motivarlos basado en tu experiencia? ¿Qué es esa cosa que tú le dirías a una persona que está interesado?
Más que nada, encuentra algo que te gusta, una pasión. And to create a passion, it takes a lot of work, right? First, it's an interest, and then that interest is going to get hard. Whatever interest that is, it's going to get hard, and then you got to become obsessed with it. If you don't become obsessed with it, you're not going to work at it. You have to become obsessed. And that obsession, hopefully you turn it into a passion.
Sí, te va a dar resultados.
Te va a dar, if you get it to a passion, te va a dar resultados.
No, y necesitamos más artistas como tú.
Gracias.
Sí,
Gracias.
Que puedan demostrar ese lado, pero ser directos y ser sinceros. Porque te basas en la experiencia, no en lo que se ve.
Sí, y sabes que yo creo in the golden rule. Treat others how you want to be treated. I think if everybody did that, we wouldn't be where we're at these days, and things wouldn't be so awful from the, outside.
Yeah.
Just treat others how you want to be treated. That's it.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I'll give you this space to just really share your handles, social media handles, donde te pueden seguir. Tal vez alguien que ya dijo, okay, ya me convenció, voy a ir a tatuarme.
Okay.
¿Dónde se pueden comunicar contigo?
Sí, va a ser Jacob J. Inc. on all social media, on all of my platforms. The studio, Ink Body Art, we're in Uptown Phoenix. The best way to get a hold of us is our phone number, 602-456-0940. We do like to book out in advance. We're not necessarily set up for walk-ins. So reach out to us and we would love to get you started. But Jacob J. Inc. on everything.
Well, Jacob, muchas gracias por venir, compartir ese conocimiento de las estigmas que son detrás de lo que es el tatuaje. It was great having this conversation and getting to know in depth, what it is, not just the art part of it. We hope to see you soon. We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
O sea, mucho éxito and keep sharing your knowledge.
Thank you, Christina. Thank you for having me. Muchas gracias por la invitación, and considering me for your podcast. I love what you're doing too and what Prensa Arizona is doing. So thank you so much.
I appreciate it. And thank you for sharing our culture.
Thank you.